Hey, and welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show, where we are on our journey. Well, let's just say to 200,000 by the end, and we're literally 4,500 subscribers away. So do your part. Alrighty. I want to talk to you, for example, about what happened yesterday. All right. Tom Emmer, House Majority Whip, Corey Lewandowski, and JD Vance. They all had something to say about Tim Walz and about JD's non-answer, about Trump losing the 2020 election. The whole thing is really crazy. Talk about sane washing. Talk about trying to whitewash what ended up happening at that debate. Great move by whoever it was that prepped Tim Walz. All you needed to do is ask that one question. Do you agree that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? And boom, that's what they did. They got him. And they knew that Shady Vance would never, ever, ever be able to answer that the way that we all know, right? We all know the truth. Let's start with that clip about these Republican tactics. Play the clip.
Trump and JD Vance are going to fix it, and that's why they're going to win the election on the 5th of November.
So is that the tactic for Republicans, is just to not answer questions about that and just move on, focus on immigration, focus on the economy, both very important issues. But I mean, as we can see by what Donald Trump is still saying, so is what happened with the election and his efforts to overturn it.
Apparently, you don't like my answer either. What Donald
Right. We don't like your answer because, as Tim Walz described, it is a non-answer. How about just answer the question? Good for Caitlin. Good for Caitlin Collins at CNN. Hold this guy's ass to the fire. By the way, the American people have a right to know. This is not just any type of a question. This isn't like, hey, what did you eat? Why did you eat cereal versus oatmeal? Why did you have eggs when you have high cholesterol? This isn't nonsense. This is the attempted overturn of a free and fair election. And the fact that the same guy who did it and his new vice presidential candidate refuses to acknowledge that Donald Trump lost the election in 2020. It is what makes America America. It is what makes our democratic republic into a democracy. This is not just some nonsensical question to ask. All right, now here's what Emmer had to say on whether he prepped Vance to answer like that. Play that clip.
So no, I thought it went extremely well.
But did you think he'd get that question? Did you talk about how to answer the 2020 question?
Listen, this is again, he answered it. You don't like the answer, but he answered it. This is something that you folks in the media want to focus on a regular basis. The American people, and thank goodness JD Vance and Donald Trump are focused on the election and how to fix this country. So I think he did answer the question.
What about?
No, he didn't. I mean, let's go back and we can play the answer that he gave. And the answer was, I don't want to talk about that. That's a different topic. We're looking to move forward. Well, there's the old expression, you can't understand your future unless you understand your past. And here we have a guy who still refuses to acknowledge that Donald Trump lost the election in 2020, aka the big lie. And that's what it was. It was a big lie. It was an attempt by Trump and his acolytes, by these sycophantic followers, to interfere in the peaceful transfer of power. You may remember in 2019, when I was before the Honorable Elijah Cummings, God rest his soul, and we talked about it. And I brought it up in my opening statement that my biggest fear, talk about being prescient. My biggest fear is if that Donald Trump loses the election in 2020, that there will never be a peaceful transfer of power. And holy shit, I was right, because I understand the guy. And what has he done? He has gone out of his way within which to promote and get people like Tom Emmer, this fucking loser, to go ahead and to continue regurgitating the big lie. And again, I will say it once again, as I said before, this is not just a small lie, a white lie, like, for example, me turning around and saying, 3 times that I alleged to have spoken to Trump about the failed Trump Tower, Moscow real estate project, and the real answer was 10. Yeah, that's a white lie to which I ended up pleading guilty to. Talking about attempting to overturn the free and fair election, that's not a white lie. That is, even as Donald Trump would call it, the big lie, because that's what it is. It is the big lie. And that's what JD Vance should have turned around and he should have said. All right. Then Emmer complains that we're still talking about something from 4 years ago. Play that clip and then you're going to get my follow-up reaction.
This would be a topic is because, in 2020, you did sign on to that brief supporting a Texas lawsuit that would have invalidated the election results in 4 states, but you ultimately chose to certify the election. You broke with some of your Republican colleagues and you chose to certify it. You said in a statement that Congress does not have the authority to discard an individual slate of electors certified by a state's legislature in accordance with their constitution. And you yourself said doing so sets a precedent that I believe undermines the state-based system of elections that defines our republic. I mean, do you still feel that way tonight?
Again, Caitlin, we're talking about an election that's going to take place in 35 days. What are you doing talking about something that's 4 years ago? We can have this
Donald Trump
debate
is still talking about it
some other time going forward. The people are hurting. Well, with all due respect, Caitlin, people want to know. They're hurting. They want to know.
Caitlin again nailed it. Did you see the look on his face? I can tell you from that look on his face, I know what he was thinking. And I hope you thought the same thing. He's like, why the fuck did I agree to do this? All right. Why the fuck am I doing this? I knew I was going to get caught in questions that I cannot answer, because if I do, I will now be an enemy to Donald Trump. But Caitlin was spot on. She said exactly what all of us know. Donald Trump doesn't stop talking about it. So how could she, as a journalist, as a television host, how could she not ask the tough question to Tom Emmer, the House Majority Whip, a guy who was the one who prepped JD Vance for the debate? She has every right to ask these questions. And by the way, Tom, if you don't want to answer the questions, hello, don't go on the show. All right. And while all this shit is going on, what's Trump doing? Well, last night, this is what Trump ended up posting. I didn't rig the 2020 election. They did. It goes right back to the point that I was saying. When he turns around, he says, why, Caitlin? Why are you talking about this after 4 years and 32 days? We're going to be, voting for a president and so on. Because Von Schitzenpants doesn't stop talking about it. This fucking guy refuses to acknowledge that he lost the election because Donald Trump in his mind cannot be a loser at anything, despite the fact the American people didn't want him in 2020. And they're not going to want him again in 2024. And what he's doing is he's prepping everybody for yet again the fighting, the refusal to acknowledge a free and fair election. So here's what Vance is saying to critique all of this. Play the clip.
Hi, Senator. Will Jones from Local 4.
Hey, Will.
I spoke with some elected officials or election officials last week about their concern about people who are trying to undermine our elections. Why didn't you answer the question last night during the debate about who won the 2020 presidential election?
Well, look, here's the simple reason. The media is obsessed with talking about the election of 4 years ago. I'm focused on the election of 33 days from now because I want to.
Yeah. Once again, they just refuse to answer the question. And while they're refusing to answer, Trump is turning around and making the claims that Biden rigged the election. I mean, could you imagine? Talk about a flip-flopper. All right, look. Lastly, we cannot forget what Don Jr. said after the debate. because, again, this is all about whitewashing reality, and we can't allow that to happen. Play this clip, and you'll get my final reaction.
Thanks, Jake. I'm here in the spin room with Donald Trump Jr. You urged your dad to pick JD Vance as his running mate famously a few months ago. How do you think he did tonight?
I thought it was a masterclass. It was just an incredible performance, just real command of the facts. Didn't let sort of the fake fact check, try to steamroll him. He came back with actual facts. I think he literally won every issue across the board. I think he was actually very comfortable on so many of the issues that Republicans tend to fail. He was probably more comfortable in those issues than most Republicans are, even on our strong points. So I think it was an incredible debate. We've been leading with incompetence and weakness for 4 years. The world has watched, and they've capitalized on that. Our enemies, Iran, wants Kamala Harris to be president. They've said that. They've leaked documents to her, stolen from our campaign, that they hacked. Russia has said they want Kamala Harris to be president. Because a weak America is good for Russia, a weak America is good for Iran, and a weak America is great for China, all of whom are chomping at the bit for a Harris-Walz administration and the continuation of the Biden policies that have failed America for the last 3.5 years.
And I should
Fake fact check. Okay, listen, Don. Oh, Donnie boy. I know you went to Wharton, just like Daddy, right? And we know that, as I've said many times, of the 3 kids, meaning you, Ivanka, and Eric, you are innately the brightest. But you do understand that when you call something a fake fact check, you show the level of stupidity that exists within you. Why? Well, fact checking is just that. It means that you're checking the facts. And just because you call it fake, a fact check is in order to demonstrate that what Shady Vance was saying was absolutely a lie. In fact, your own favorite television station, Fox News, acknowledged that Shady Vance lied on a series of different things. Let me be very clear. There are no Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, eating pets. Let's just start with that, okay? And you could fact check whatever shit that you want, or as Kellyanne Conway used to call it, right? Alternative facts. You guys are all living in a fucking fantasy land, all right? It's a fantasy land. And if you think that America is doing so poorly, it's kind of interesting because you seem to be doing just great. You and your $100,000 watches that Daddy's selling. So do me a favor. Spare us all the bullshit. Spare us the lies. You know that bad shit's coming down the road when Daddy loses the election in November. And I'm going to end this segment, all right? I can't believe. Don, how many times have I said to you, if you don't have something legitimate to say, just don't say anything at all. You're destroying yourself and your future, if there even is one for you. So I'm going to now end this by saying what I say all the time. Make sure that you go to vote.org. This stupidity cannot stand. We need to get rid of this bullshit once and for all. Make sure come November 5th that you vote Harris-Walz 2024. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. We're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.